Welcome to Freedom, Seeker. I'm Yvonne Davis, and this is a conversation about working with internal resistance. Internal resistance comes up when two or more parts of ourselves, or sometimes even more than two parts, have different needs that they're trying to meet. So, what we want to do is identify what those needs are and then do a kind of alchemy in which we welcome the needs that are longing to be met. And we recognize that the conflict is only illusory. Once we welcome the needs and we do the alchemy and are then able to integrate these different needs in such a way that we can find a strategy that helps to meet the apparently conflicting needs in a way that they are no longer in conflict. So I want to welcome you to this conversation on working with internal resistance. So it's definitely not like a black and white thing. It's not an either or thing. It's more about integration. That's something that I've struggled with over the years of being an entrepreneur. And of course, I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I value freedom and choice. And so I was thinking of an example where to build my business, someone said, we have to collect email addresses and you put them into this database and then you write your e-letter, e-newsletters and stuff like that. And I hated it. Oh, I just absolutely hated it. And finally and I forced myself to do it. I was lucky enough that I found a time in my life where I got inspired and I got the work done. But when it all came, over time, the way it all worked out was that I realized that forcing myself to do things that I really, really did not enjoy ultimately were not very successful. And so the trick has always been to do a kind of alchemy in which we are able to find the things that we love, that we value, that we enjoy, that inspire us, and mix that with the things that might be a little more challenging. So, because like if you create a business and somebody pays you, which you hope they do, you have to show up and follow through on your commitments, and so and sometimes sometimes you feel really energized to do that, and other times you feel like you might not be feeling well or you're overwhelmed and you still have to follow through on your commitments. And so it's a reminder to like always look at what needs are being met. You want to meet a need for comfort, and I am never going to tell you that shouldn't be important to you, because if it's important to you, there's no way you're going to give that up. So you have to find a way to integrate that into whatever income streams you create, that you have to value and honor your love of comfort. And I think that's different than doing scary things. What I mean by scary is like you have to get in touch with people, or maybe, I don't know, at some point you might do some public speaking or something like that, something that people normally think of as scary. And then you say to yourself, well, I really love this career or this income stream I've created, and it meets so many needs for me, so I'm going to stretch myself this time. That's different. This other thing we're talking about is more like either stretching yourself in unusual situations that are not like normal and everyday to your business, or learning to integrate so that sometimes when you have to deal with difficult things, you're able to integrate it in such a way that it feels less difficult. Like I do a lot of my hardest work first thing in the morning because I'm refreshed and I'm not tired. I can focus, I can knock it out. Then later in the day has to be winding down to Like at the end of the day, maybe I do some reading on the subject if I enjoy it, because that's more passive. I'm passionate about astrology, and I tried to create a business. I've done professional astrology for 14 years, but in all truth, it wasn't until I got online with YouTube that I was really able to support myself 100% from my astrology business, because um, I was doing a lot of piecemeal things because I was relying on the geographical location to access clients, and I needed a broader scope, a broader venue. But I'm passionate about astrology, so that was easy for me. So if you're passionate about something like numerology, then the next step is to ask yourself in what ways you could, that are fun, that you could turn that into a potential stream of income. So different examples are like, you could write something, because we can always self-publish, and sell ourselves. We don't need other people to publish us. Like psychic fairs and metaphysical bookshops and advertising workshops or gatherings, or just doing one-on-one readings, or possibly starting a YouTube channel doing numerology. There are 1,001 ways that you could take something you're passionate about, that's fun for you, that lets you be at home most of the time doing your work, and yet can over time build up an income stream. That's the way I worked. I didn't try to imagine that one thing was going to be my holy grail. I said, this one thing, it might produce $100 a month, and then I've got these other 10 things. Literally, I never limited myself. I just said, I can do this. I enjoy it. Some people want it. I'm going to put it out there. I have, maybe just a few clients. Sometimes I even only had one client for a product or service that I put out there. And, at one time, in the early days of being an astrologer, sometimes I only had one client a month, but she came every month and she just kept me going. It was like, I know I can do this. I love it. I'm going to build on it. And if I had thought to myself, well, I only have one client, then I would have given up. And I'm glad that I didn't. When I look at people who I've met, not in person, but online, and they have successful channels, they've grown their channels really quickly. And the irony is that had nothing to do with how saturated YouTube might be with any particular subject like tarot. It had to do with the fact that they loved it. They were passionate about it. They just kept putting it up there, and have built their channels really quickly. And you only need a certain number. I think it's like 1,000 subscribers and a certain number of watch time, which some people can actually make happen within a few months. It took me a year because I was doing it part-time. But still, I was really glad when I finally reached that threshold that I could apply for monetization. And then you can build a small income. I know there are people on YouTube who they get their entire income just from the Google ads, but I think that if we assume that we have to make, like 50,000 a year, that threshold is too high. It will create resistance. But if we think, what, I'm just going to play with this a little bit every day, get this channel, build the channel. It's not that hard, and it's free. Put up a video, and my camera and my microphone total, both the webcam and the microphone total, costs like $100 on YouTube. So, and Zoom is free. So, I think that's why people are loving YouTube, is because there's such a low investment threshold, and you can just get in and then you can do what you're passionate about for fun when you feel like doing it, because who cares? No, it's like, if you don't show up for a month, well, maybe you don't, build your channel as fast, but at the same time, you're not losing anything. It's there, it's ready for you whenever you're ready to come to it, and you can do it in your own time, and when you feel like it, in your own speed. So again, I'm not saying this is the solution to your problem. I'm just saying that to start pondering a shift in and I think really in your expectations, because that's what's blocking you. I think you do have passion for certain subjects, and I think that you are perfectly capable of building something like a YouTube channel. You're perfectly capable, you're intelligent enough. That's not an obstacle. But you're telling yourself a story about what, it needs to be. Like, you need to be this, or, you need a niche, or it's too saturated. And the fact is, you can find a niche. Anybody can find a niche. My niche was the political stuff, which eventually I got to grow out of that. That's not going to work for me forever. But it got me started, and I think that as I grow out of it, I'll find a new niche that's true to my personality, and you can find that for yourself too. So again, this may not be a solution, but it can get you thinking. And that's really what matters, because at some point something will kick in you, and you say, yep, I think I'm going to stretch myself a little bit, and I'm going to give this thing a try. And if you end up hating it, it's like, so what? It's such a small investment. Again, you don't even need a webcam and a microphone. If you have one embedded in your laptop or your computer, you can make videos. People are really, they're not that picky. That's another nice thing about YouTube, is that it's more about the personality. If they like someone, they'll become loyal fans, and they don't expect perfection. And what if you lowered the threshold a little bit to, it doesn't have to be every day, but maybe a few days a week, or even one day a week? Alrighty, so I will go ahead and close out this recording and say thank you to everyone else for watching this video. And we'll talk to you again later. Bye-bye.